What's up, everybody? Go Burns doing another vlog over on my vlogs channel. And yes, for those of you wondering, Go Burns, you have a vlogs channel? Yeah, I do. You may have come across this video via Twitter or Facebook, but yes, this is another channel. My smaller, redheaded little sister channel of the gaming channel. And this is where I put the vlogs. So if you are into vlogs, feel free and check out previous episodes. I've been doing the vlogs channel for about a year now. Off and on, it started out. You know, sometimes it would be like a month before I did another vlog. But recently, and I mean by recently the past several months, I've been actually doing weekly vlogs, except for last week. Last week I didn't really have an idea for a vlog, so I didn't do one last week. But if you have a vlog suggestion that I've yet to do, feel free to send it my way via the comment section, Twitter, Facebook, or email goburns@gmail.com. And if you have a vlog suggestion that is very personal to you, that you don't really want people to know it was you that made the suggestion for whatever rhyme or reason, you want to keep it anonymous, that is no problem. You can send it to me privately via the Facebook page, or, like I mentioned, email goburns@gmail.com. Just tell me what you want me to vlog about, and just say, hey, GoBurns, could you keep this anonymous? And I would be more than happy to do so. I have done a few of those so far, and I'm always delighted to, do your vlog suggestions, whether you want everyone to know it was you or you want to keep it anonymous. Either way is fine by me. Okay, so today's vlog is about America, obviously because of the title. Because tomorrow is Independence Day, July 4th, where America celebrates our Declaration of Independence from the greatest British Empire. Yeah, Britain. Yeah, because one time we used to be colonies. We used to be part of the British Empire back in the day. But, no taxation without representation, a Boston Tea Party, a Boston Massacre, come and take it. No, that's Texas. Never mind. Oh, yeah, don't tread on me. Yeah, okay, so eventually, 1776... the colonists had finally had enough. Well, a certain percentage of the colonists, not everybody, but there was enough colonists upset, salty with the British, that didn't really feel like that we were getting proper representation in Parliament, that we decided we'd had enough, and rebellion broke out, aka the American Revolution. And thanks to the help from France, we were able to win the American Revolution and have our independence from Britannia. And, the relationship between the UK and the US is a lot better now than it was back then. But, yeah, it didn't start off so well. It was kind of like, a sibling or a child. It was like, nope, I don't want to be part of this anymore. And eventually the parent got tired of it. He's like, fine, go. Go, be your own country. Good luck with all that stuff. And then a little skirmish broke out in 1812. And it really depends on your point of view. Why that war broke out. There's the British point of view. There's the American point of view. Either way, it was a stupid war. Very stupid because, there were some Americans that thought that we could take Canada. It didn't work out so well for us. And the greatest battle on the American side was actually won after the war was over. The Battle of New Orleans, where, like, Andrew Jackson got his name. Andrew Jackson would later on become a president of the United States. He would be known for defeating the bank. Well, bringing down one of the banks, the second bank, I think. And, the Trail of Tears massacre as well. So, kind of a interesting history regarding, Andrew Jackson. And he's obviously considered a hero in New Orleans still, even though I would consider him a very complicated person. One thing, he helped defend New Orleans from the Redcoats at the very end of the War of 1812. The peace treaty had already been signed. But it wasn't like it is today where, like, a peace treaty happens and you can, like, tweet it out in 5 seconds and the whole world knows, okay, these two countries are done fighting. Communication back then was even before the days of telegraph. First off, you'd have to send a message by ocean. You had to put it on a sail ship, and that would take a little bit of time to get across the ocean. And then you'd have to Pony Express it, because trains hadn't been invented yet. So it took a while from a message to get from point A to point B back in 1812. Well, The war didn't end in 1812. It started in 1812. But anyways, about America. So this idea came to me, not just because tomorrow is Independence Day, but during one of my live streams. I think it was one of my Diablo 3 live streams last week. There was for the most part, the chats go pretty well, and I enjoy the live, commentary between myself and everyone watching. Not only the lurkers out there, and I love the lurkers who watch my content, whether it's live or the vlogs or any other stuff I do live or pre-recorded and put together content-wise. But there are people that obviously like to leave comments, whether it's a video or a live stream, and I enjoy interacting with you guys. But every now and then there's a few bad apples that do show up. Sometimes it's just little things like sub for subs, and I don't really care for sub for subs. I think that's a terrible way to try and grow your channel. It also makes you look bad, but that's beside the point. But there's also those that like to come on to other people's channel and start trolling, start spreading hate. And there was an individual, I forgot what their name was, it doesn't even matter. And basically he said, F America. And that's when it got, worse. That's how his little rant began. Of course, one of the mods was able to successfully... was it me? Was I the one that banned him ultimately, or was it a mod? I think it was me because I didn't have any mods in the chat that day. Okay, so I think it was me that ultimately had to ban him. Well, you know what they say, if you want something done, sometimes you just got to do it yourself. But, during the live stream, I was just like, look, my mindset is, live and live, baby. Whether it doesn't matter to me if you're American, Canadian, from Africa, from Europe, from Asia, from the Middle East, from, freaking Antarctica even. I don't care. We're all human beings. We all have the right to live on this beautiful world together in peace. Unfortunately, we don't have peace. But I'm not one to go off saying, fuck this country, fuck that country. Even countries that have kind of a bad rap, like, say, North Korea and Saudi Arabia. I could go on from there. I don't blame the people that live in those countries. I blame the rulers, the tyrants, like Kim Jong-il. I blame him and the militarist government under his command in North Korea for the situation in North Korea. And the same thing goes for all the other countries that have bad rulers and dictators and oppression and all that other crap. And the same thing could be said about America sometimes, but I do believe generally in the ideas and principles of freedom, liberty, equality, justice for all. Now, I don't look at American history from rose-colored glasses, and some people unfortunately do. It's nationalistic, patriotic, people in my country, fellow Americans that do. And they don't seem to understand that while things are definitely in some ways a lot better in those regards, it's not 100%. And we didn't start off with complete freedom and liberty and justice for all. I mean, for one thing, whenever we became officially a republic in 1787 with the Constitution and Bill of Rights, a few years later in 1791, yes, I'm kind of knowledgeable with history, so in case you were wondering. Putting on my history cap today, folks. But yeah, even when we were a republic, as Benjamin Franklin once said, walking out, and a woman asked him allegedly, like, what have you given us, sir? And he said, a republic if you can keep it. That's what we technically have, a republic. Our democratic republic, or, a lot of people just say it's a democracy, but technically it's not a democracy, even though it is a democratic form of government. It's very complicated. But anyways, so even then, 1787, and a few years later, 1791, when we got the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments, not everybody was free in this country. Women did not have equal rights. They did not have voting rights. They did not have the right to work. African Americans, the majority of African Americans were still in bondage. And the ones that were free, that had fought in the Continental Army, that gained their freedom, was a very, very small group. Extremely small. So there were free blacks, but it was such a small number that, it's sad. Incredibly sad, especially since... from day one, we were supposed to be the land of the free. Well, the free for certain groups. And so it took time before change started happening. And a lot of nasty stuff happened along the way. Like I mentioned a moment ago with the Trail of Tears, even though Native Americans actually won a Supreme Court decision that supposedly would have prevented them from being relocated. They actually went to court over the matter. against President Jackson. But, President Jackson was like, well, the Supreme Court made their ruling. Let them, uphold it or something. Like, the Supreme Court didn't have a military to make sure that the Native Americans didn't get screwed over. It sucked. But, a lot of worse things happened to the Native Americans in the 1700s and the 1800s as well, and even today. So it's a tragedy with what happened to Native Americans and to many other groups that came here as well, with the same hopes and dreams, yearning to be free, like Asian immigrants. A lot of them came from China, Japan, as well as Irish. Irish were also treated like crap when they came here in the 1800s. They did a lot of work, the Irish and Asians and other groups, but they were treated like shit. They built the railroads, and they did this and did that. They broke their back helping to build the country, and all they wanted was a better life for themselves, a piece of the pie, some American dream, because they heard all about that, freedom and liberty and all that stuff. But the reality was a lot uglier for them when they got here. And the reality continues to be ugly for, other groups to this very day, like African Americans. There's still a long ways to go before there is equality. I mean, it's a lot better from an optimistic point of view. It's a lot better than it was. Slavery. Then after slavery was over at the end of the Civil War, which was one of our worst wars, over 600,000 Americans lost their lives in that brutal war. And the nation still has scars to this very day. Then there was segregation, there was Jim Crow laws, there was a lot of horrible things that happened to African Americans, including lynches across the South. And eventually, a lot of these things became history. They stopped happening, and I guess people got better, not completely, but Jim Crow laws were abolished, segregation was abolished. It was okay for people to get married despite what their pigment happened to be. There used to be a time in this country when it was frowned upon to be in an interracial relationship or interracial marriage. Even though we're all human beings, it was still looked down upon. Even though by DNA, a white human and a black human and a white human and an Asian human and a black human and a Hispanic human, and all these humans can still reproduce and create more humans, which means that we are all humans. I know I'm getting off topic, but the point is, we have come a long ways in that regard. But at the same time, like I mentioned, I've always seen my country as, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? As a destiny, a goal, not a manifest destiny. No, not that. That was bad, very bad. What I'm talking about is that the ideas and principles of freedom and liberty and equality are very good ideas to have, where everybody is treated as equal, where everybody has a right to live their life, where everybody can be the person they want to be, where there is not a caste system or a class system. Unfortunately, we have that in this country also. We have classes, and that's really what it comes down to. It's really a class thing more than anything else in this country. If you're rich, if you're a sports star or a movie star or a reality star, most of the time you can get away with things that the average person can't, because you got the money, because you got the name recognition, whether it's through, being in movies or being a musician or being a reality star now / porn star, or you come from a well-to-do family with influence. Unfortunately, we do have a class system in this country and most countries as well. But at the same time, I do feel like that freedom and liberty and justice and equality are ideas that are good for humanity in general. Because I don't think that the majority of people want to be slaves. They don't want to be treated like second-class citizens. They don't want to be treated like shit. They actually want a chance to be seen as a fellow human being and not feared, whether they're African American or whether they're Muslim or whether they're gay or trans or bi or whatever. So that's the good qualities I see about my country. And has some bad things happened under the American flag, of course. But what country hasn't bad things happened under? I mean, most countries have a pretty bad history to varying degrees. But, America has done some good, I would have to believe. I mean, we helped bring it into World War I. I know it wasn't that big of a role. The war probably would have ended anyways. But, we did help even though we arrived a little late to the war in 1917, we did help bring an end to the Second World War. So that was good. I mean, yes, the Soviets played a big role in that as well, in stopping the Nazi war machine. I get that. But, at the same time, we all have this ugly side to us, this part of history we're not proud of, this shit we did or things that were done. And there's no escaping that. There's no denying that. My issue is that we can't hide it. We have to accept it, that mistakes were made in the past, that slavery was wrong. What was done to Native Americans and to the Irish and to Asian and Hispanic immigrants that came here was wrong. What's been done to, people that, wish to live a certain lifestyle, whether they are gay or bi or trans, because unfortunately that's still a major problem in this country, but it's getting a little better. And in other countries, it's way worse. So, yeah, and of course, don't get me started on the drug war, because I'm a very big anti-prohibitionist. Like, the alcohol prohibition was completely wrong, and all it did was allow criminal empires to rise up, and people were still drinking. It didn't stop them from drinking. They just went underground, went to speakeasies, and there was rum running and moonshining. I mentioned this before in a previous vlog, but then with the drug war, which is not even constitutional, there was not even an amendment passed, unlike alcohol prohibition. You put people in jail just for, choosing to use a substance. Whether you agree with it or not, it's their body, it's their choice, their lifestyle, for better or worse. We should have individual responsibility. So if you wish to do drugs, as long as you're not harming anyone else in the process, I don't think you should be punished for that. I mean, I think that you should get help, because there are some very bad drugs out there, just like, alcohol and cigarettes are bad for you. I know, broken record. I've mentioned this in probably, which addictions. My previous vlogs, I talked about addictions. So if you want to know more about my opinion about addictions, we'll just leave it at that. But regarding America, and unfortunately, most people that celebrate Independence and 4th of July, they go off. It's more or less about partying. It's more about, popping fireworks and drinking and partying, just like Memorial Day. I mentioned that also in my Memorial vlog as well. We don't think about, what it took, the sacrifice of the founders to, get us the country that we have today. It's a country that is flawed, a country that has made mistakes, but it's still my country. I'm still American, but I'm also a Texan, but I'm also a Louisianan, but I'm also a human being. An earthling, well, as far as you know. Yes, soon I will head back to Mars. No, just kidding. Okay. Or am I? But the point is, I'm proud to be an American despite our flaws, despite our mistakes. Just like I'm proud to be myself despite my flaws and despite my mistakes. And yeah, are mistakes still being made to this very day? Yes, I believe so. Do I think that we can live in a world where everyone gets along and we can put aside our differences? Yes, I do. But it takes more than one side to, tango, as they say. There are definitely other groups and factions out there in the world that are causing problems as well. And that's the big issue. There's a lot of hate in the world today. And some of it is geared towards America, some of it rightfully so, and some of it is geared towards other things going on. It's just a sad thing to me that we cannot live in peace, that we cannot live together and coexist on this beautiful world. And I hope that one day we can. And I sincerely hope that a time comes when my country has true freedom and liberty for everybody that lives in this country, where people will stop looking at each other's differences, because we all have differences, whether it's pigmentation, culture, religious beliefs, or lack of beliefs. You can believe whatever you want to believe, as long as you're not trying to threaten somebody else in the process or coerce them, or anything else. Believe what you want to believe. Let them believe what they want to believe. Live and let live. And along with your lifestyle choices, who you wish to fall in love with, and as well as, whether or not you believe you should be a man or a woman, like Janine here, Janine, might have started out as a male Grand Theft Auto character, but, she's happy as a female character, okay? Even though I could not change her to a female character because of, the lousy, stinking character creator won't let me, even though I was willing to drop $100,000 to do it, but that's beside the point. still, the point is, I accept everybody for who they are. You know, as long as you're not harming anyone else in the process, I believe in the true, you know, values of freedom, liberty, justice for all. And that applies to everybody. You know, there are no exceptions, in my opinion, when it comes to that. And unfortunately, you have political parties in this country, 2 of them to be specific, that have their, like, okay, you should have rights, but you should not have rights. But I stand here in the middle, I guess, and I look at them like, well, wait a minute, what about everybody? What about everyone having the same rights? You know, like gun owners having rights, you know, gays, lesbians, trans people, bis having rights as well. What about we all have rights? We all have equality. As long as we're, you know, law-abiding citizens, you know, I don't see the problem here. But yeah, I mean, I think it's important for us to remember and honor the past of all of our country's history. It doesn't matter what country you come from, America, Ireland, England, somewhere in Europe or Asia or the Middle East, or Russia, or Africa, or, you know, Mexico, Central South America, Canada, anywhere else in the world that I may have not mentioned. You're all, to me, proud members of the Go Burns Nation. It doesn't matter to me that I'm American. What matters to me is that I am a fellow human being. It doesn't matter to me that you're Canadian, or you're Irish, or you're British, or you're from Turkey, or you're from Russia, or you're from Mexico. I don't care about that. I don't care. I care about you as the individual. Those of you that you take the time to watch my content. Those of you that, you know, have your own lives to live. Those of you that, you know, have your own hopes and dreams. And also value the things that I value. You know, freedom and liberty. And living and let living. You know, those are good, positive ideas that my country, I wish one day we might be the torchbearer for again. I feel like it's going to be some time before we can get to that point. Because we've had, unfortunately, previous presidents on both sides. I'm not picking anyone out specifically. I blame both sides because I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm a libertarian, baby. That's just how I roll. I know I'm trying to get a little political. I know I try to say that for the political channel, which I may eventually bring back because I am getting a little bit more political again. But the point is, I believe that everyone's opinion, everyone's views is valid as long as you're willing to come to the table and meet in the middle. You know, I don't like extremism, whether it's, you know, religious extremism or conservative extremism or liberal extremism or extremism. I think that's bad because we all have different viewpoints. We all have different thoughts, opinions, ideas, hopes and dreams and ice creams. And I think that one day, once we get, you know, some of these people out of the way that are currently in my government, you know, on both sides of the aisle, by the way, once they retire or get pink slipped or, you know, brought up on charges and, you know, sent away for a while, because a lot of them probably have done some pretty shady shit in their time. Once we start getting better, more educated, younger blood, I think, in the governments, local government, state government, federal government, yeah, I think that eventually my country can aspire to one day be that country that I desire it to be. The country that the founders wanted it to be. Even if at the time it couldn't be. I really wish it could have been, but, you know, you can't change history, but we can learn from history. And hopefully one day, as we, you know, tomorrow, as we celebrate Independence Day in America, hopefully those of us that aren't nationalists or just specifically quote-unquote patriots, those of us that consider ourselves to be true Americans, will think about the ideas and principles and liberties of freedom, justice, equality, individual rights for everyone. But in conclusion, happy Independence Day, America. Happy Independence Day. Don't drink, don't party too hard. And just remember, your pets, keep an eye on your pets, especially your dogs, because they don't exactly like fireworks because they have really, really sensitive ears. And so just be mindful of that, and don't, you know, fire off fireworks too late, because, you know, some people, you know, they do have to work in the morning. Well, not me, but, you know, some people.